We are out on our property, and today we are getting some soil samples to send in. We're going to do a couple of different things. First, we're going to take some samples just to see what type of soil we have. You can do a simple test. All you need is a mason jar, something to dig with, and a little bit of water. But we're also going to take some samples to send off to get tested. And that's going to show us what the soil is rich in and what it's lacking in. So the area that we're taking this first sample in, this is going to eventually be an orchard. We're hoping to have, plan right now is apples and pears out here. So Scott's got a spade. We're going to dig down probably, I don't know, 5-6 inches, because we want to get down where the roots are going to grow. Obviously you're going to plant a tree a lot deeper than 5 or 6 inches. And you want to make sure that when you're taking soil samples from various places that you're labeling your samples in some way. And right there, that is plenty of soil to do both of the tests that we need to do. Soil sample number 2. This is kind of a new endeavor for us. We've always had flowers in our garden, but this time out on this new property, we're going to be devoting a large portion to wildflowers and cut flowers with the intention of eventually selling them at market.
Wow, the soil is a lot softer over here on this side.
This is soil sample number 3, and this is where our traditional garden is going to go. Way back there where that tree line is, that ends our property, and that is going to be, that area is where the greenhouses are going to go. Pretty exciting. So from the street, we're on the left side of our property. Over to the right, that is where the bees and the orchard are going to be. Swing around, that's where we took that second soil sample. That's where the wildflowers and cut flowers are going to go. I'm ready to move on to the next step of checking our soil type. These are the jars that we collected out at that new property. We collected enough soil to not only check the soil type here at home, but also to send out the nutrient content, pH, all of that, to have that checked in a soil kit. So I don't need as much as in each of these jars for this first test. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of it put into the jar. This is what's going to go into, this is what's going to be used for those send-off kits. I did go ahead, garden, labeled my bags so that our samples stay good. This is the orchard area. And when you're doing this test, you want to get rid of most of, you don't want any big clumps. You want to try to avoid rocks, that type of stuff. And I'm only opening and working with one jar at a time to hopefully help ensure that I don't mix anything up. Let's see, stuff like this. This was just some of the grass and stuff that was there. That is not going to be needed for any of the tests that we're doing. We'll start with this jar. This is the flower jar. Down in there, I'm going to place just a little bit of dish soap in there. It's about a teaspoon. It just acts as a surfactant. And then I'm going to fill it up almost all the way with water. That surfactant helps it just layer out into those separate layers. We're going to have 3 different layers in our soil. You want to shake it for several minutes because you want to make sure that all of that soil is wet. And as you can tell, this is just a mason jar with one of the plastic water seal lids. I'm just going to set it over here to the side and do the same thing. This is the orchard. So now we're going to go ahead and leave our jars alone for overnight. Minimum is about 12 hours so that those layers in your soil can form within the jars. It's been more than 24 hours and our jars have settled out into layers. The bottom layer is going to be sand. That is the heaviest particles. Then we have the silt, and then the very top is the clay. So there's hardly any clay in our soil, which to me is the best scenario in my opinion to have, because to correct sandy soil you just add rich compost. It's easier to work the compost into a sandier soil than it is for clay. Clay, it's harder to dig down through and get your soil amended. So this is the garden. Let me show you the orchard. So this is the orchard, and you can tell by the coloring it is almost completely sand. This is going to take quite a bit of rich organic compost to get this where it needs to be to get those trees growing healthy. Just barely any clay. And then this is the flowers. So the flowers have just a little bit of sand, whole lot of silt, and again, just a tiny bit of clay. So for all of these, we're going to be working in a lot of compost. I'm getting ready to do a soil kit. This is going to tell me what nutrients the soil maybe has too much of, not enough of, and we'll go from there when we go to decide what all to add into the soil. Hope you guys enjoyed this video showing you how to check your soil type. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you have had sandy soil that you've had to deal with, let me know down in the comments what worked for you and what didn't. And as always, we'd love it if you'd visit us over at dayswellspent.com.